word cloud, we need just 1 or 2 words maximum. And then this word cloud, once it's ready, probably next week, we can share it with you, post results on social media, and of course, compare with the word clouds of other universities. So please do participate. So it's 5 past. If Maria and Dia don't object too much, we can give 5 minutes to students to think it over. So please respond to the question that you can see if you click on the link. Again, just give your name, even just first name is enough, and then think, what is the most pressing problem economists today should be addressing? Please focus on one issue and ideally just 1 or 2 words.
Somebody's, Ellis is asking about seminars in the chat, if anybody's looking at the chat. Camille's going to do a poll about the seminars shortly. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. I've got Coca-Cola today. I got roasted last week for having Pepsi.
Okay, just another minute to consider the answer to the question, what is the most pressing issue economists today should be addressing? And of course, there is an ongoing controversy about the drinks going in the chat. Joe, these brands should pay you. I mean, come on. So I hope everyone had a chance to answer the question. I'm just reposting the link if anyone has joined us a little bit later. So what we are doing is we're asking you to contribute to this poll, creating word clouds that we can compare in between universities, and of course colleagues from Economics Observatory will do some analysis and will let us know what economists of first-year economist students think. What is the most pressing problem economists today should be addressing? I hope that you guys have contributed and made University of Birmingham proud with your participation. Okay, so that was my first question. The second question, I was planning on doing it with a poll, but for some reason it didn't work. It doesn't really work. Did this morning, doesn't this afternoon. That's technology. So the question is whether you plan to attend online seminars or offline seminars. So please do click on participants list. And once you have clicked on participants list, you should see below the yes, no buttons. It's yes, no, go slower, go faster, and so on. Once you see that, please click yes for online option and please click no for face-to-face. That's why we're asking. That's absolutely why we're asking, because we need to understand how many students are self-isolating and so on, because circumstances can be different, and we understand that these things may change. That's absolutely fair enough. So what we're asking now is whether you're planning in the foreseeable future, in what you're experiencing right now, to attend online or to attend face-to-face.
Because the problem is the default is for there to only be one online session. So I think this week there's only one online seminar scheduled and lots of face-to-face. But obviously, if a majority or even if a significant portion want online, then we need to look at changing some of those face-to-face to online.
And I will be writing down the numbers. And Joe, I'll get the percentages back to you. So if everyone, we really would like to have the perspective of all students. We understand that it might change. Whether it's online now, face-to-face later, just tell us where you are now, because we need to understand where we are now. And we understand that for now you plan to attend face-to-face. It might just happen that later you need to self-isolate and you move online, or the other way around. Yes, things will change. So please do click on the buttons. We will not be able to collect the data from the chat. So please click on yes or no buttons below the participants list. If you have a combination, we're really focusing on seminars and not live sessions. All live sessions, well, they are live online. We're really talking about seminars. And of course, if you can attend seminars, then we're inviting you here on campus to talk to us. So it's whether you can or you can't attend the face-to-face ones. So again, please do not tell me yes or no in the chat. Please use the yes, no buttons. Guys, please use yes, no buttons at the bottom of the participants list. We will not be able to collect the data from the chat. Please use the buttons. And I will repost it again. Yes for online, no to face-to-face. And please use the buttons that are below the participants list. So when you click on participants list, you can click on participants list and you can click on the chat. Below the participants list, there will be these buttons. Yes, no, go slower, go faster, more, and so on. So far we have about, the participants list is at the bottom of your screen. So where you can see mute, for example, to mute yourself, there's a symbol, then you can switch on your camera. And then if you carry on that bottom line, then you'll be able to see the participants list. Thank you, Robo. Yes, well, it shows 143, 144 now. Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Wilson. You're answering to which sessions you are planning to attend currently. And again, we understand that circumstances may change. So what you are currently planning to attend. Yes, I'll just repost it again. Yes is for online, no is for face-to-face. We're almost there in terms of adding up the numbers, but I would really like to see more students answering this question, because it's important for us, particularly to organize the seminars in the most efficient way possible. So, Oriana, I'm not sure what you mean by tutorials. Do you mean personal tutoring? Because seminars we do have face-to-face. The online sessions are not face-to-face because we have large groups. So for safety of all, we do not have large groups in the building in the same lecture room. The weekly things, I think you're referring to personal tutoring. Again, that's done for the safety and security of all. Some members of staff are not able to attend anything on campus for their own private reasons, security reasons, health reasons. So you can understand that they can't come, so they can't meet you face to face, but we need to carry on with life and with tutoring. So that's why tutorials are face to face. We have over 60 members of staff, and some of us, just according to statistics, well, there are some health issues, health reasons. Yeah, there will be an online, again, I wouldn't call it tutorial. It's a live session, same as today's session, which will be tomorrow at 1 o'clock. That will be the repetition of today. And I'll be asking you the same question. There you are. Tut and Tutti found themselves. Okay, so anyone else who would like to tell us about the seminars? I'm conscious that I'm talking already too much and I'm taking away the time from Maria's session. Okay, I will let the results stand. I'll write them down. If anyone else wants to participate, just click on it. But for now, thank you very much. And Maria, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Camilla. So we will start the session. Let me first explain how we'll run this session today. So I'm going to use maybe 40-50 minutes to talk about plagiarism and referencing using the slides we have on Canvas page. I'm going to explain a bit more with details, show some examples, and then we'll have a small break, 5-10 minutes, and then we'll be back to answer any questions you are having. So in the meantime, while I'm explaining the slides, if you have any questions regarding plagiarism and referencing, please feel free to type in the chat, and we'll address everything at the end. We'll use question and answers at the end. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to start with plagiarism slides. Let me share my screen. Just a second. Okay, something, sorry for this. Can you see my screen? Okay, okay, there was a small problem, sorry for this. Hello, can you hear me? Sorry, I think it's my signal. Sorry for this. Okay, so can you look at my screen? Not sure. Okay, thanks. So first of all, I'm going to use Yao's slides. She did also a recording for plagiarism. I hope you spent some time on those recordings and you had a look at the slides of plagiarism referencing. So first of all, the picture on the left, it's me and Maria, and the second picture is Livia, is another academic integrity officer, but she will attend tomorrow's session. She was not able to attend today. Yao was the plagiarism officer for many years in the department, so she's very experienced. And so let's start with plagiarism. First of all, you need to understand what do we mean by plagiarism. So in simple words, it's just to, if you use someone else's words or ideas and you don't change them or paraphrase, and you just use the exact same words, then it's like getting someone else's ideas. Okay, so this is what we call plagiarism. Or in other words, if you just copy and paste from a source, a few sentences, a paragraph, or just one sentence, this is plagiarism. Okay, because if you use just copy paste and use it in your own work, then it's not your idea. Okay, so plagiarism is a form of cheating, and this is a very serious academic offense, and that's why we are conducting these sessions in order to explain to you what is plagiarism, so you can avoid it in the near future in your courseworks and dissertation. Okay, so okay, so what plagiarism includes, it includes copying the work of other students. So if you just work with other students, or if you are asking their work and you just copy paste, this is plagiarism. If you use course material or lecture notes, again, it's plagiarism, because, for example, if I have some lecture slides and you just copy paste what I'm saying in the lecture slides, then if I paraphrase, is my own work, and it's like you are getting my work. Okay, so again, this is referred to plagiarism. If you are just copying from books or journal articles, again, sentences, this is again plagiarism. And if you're just copying from online sources. So another thing is that is interesting is the auto-plagiarism or self-plagiarism. Is if, for example, in year one, in this year that you are currently, you are doing a coursework, and maybe next year you have a module which is similar to that one, and you find it useful to use your last year's ideas or last year's paragraphs or even the whole coursework. This is called auto-plagiarism. You are not allowed to do this because, of course, it's your own work, but again, you are copying from yourself. So you need to avoid this, and you need to rewrite your work. Okay, so you're not allowed any previous work you've done, because anyways in the system, and it will catch it as a plagiarism. The Turnitin report, I'm going to explain more information about the Turnitin report later. Another form of plagiarism is if you buy the essay. So this is again plagiarism, or if you have evidence. So there are some videos that Yao put on Canvas, so you'll have time on the break to check on those. And let's talk about plagiarism detection. So I'm going to talk about Turnitin report. So Turnitin is just a software which detects plagiarism, and it generates some reports and show the similarities of your work with the sources that you used. So the point is that we have this report. There is an example, so you'll see what do we mean by this. And we will call you in a meeting in case your Turnitin report shows high similarities with the sources that you used. So in this case, you are going to notify by me and Livia that you're going to have a meeting for plagiarism and that we found on your coursework or essay that you did plagiarism. So if significant matching text is found, we will carefully investigate. So this is our job. And we will investigate if the things that you are writing and submitting is your own work or not. So you need to be careful to make sure you understand what is plagiarism and how to avoid it, so you won't have any meetings with us, okay? Because it will be better for you not to just write your own work and don't have any problems with plagiarism. So what do we mean by similarity scores? It is the scores on Turnitin report that shows the percentage that you used from other sources. For example, if a coursework has 40% similarity, this means that you copy, paste, you use the similar sources. 40% of your work is not yours actually, which is a high percentage, and we need to investigate this, okay? So in order to understand more about Turnitin report, this is an example of Turnitin report. And in the color, you can see here, for example, if it's colorful, it means that you copy this from somewhere else. So this is not your own work, so it's easy for us if we just check reports to check the percentage and what it used from other sources, because anything used from other sources and didn't paraphrase is just with different colors here. So it's very easy for us to see that this source, for example, is in green colors and is from source 2, let's say. Here we don't really have the sources, but on a Turnitin report, there is a link where it takes us to the exact source that you copy paste. So we have all the information available. So you need to be careful to rewrite things and never copy paste from the source. So, and this is other examples here. Again, this other example is copy paste because it's all the words with colors from source 3. And that one from source 6, and that one from source 7. So different sources, different colors, okay? So if we think that the match is significant, we'll carefully consider whether the match is significant or not. And then if we think it's significant, you'll be invited to a meeting. So in the meeting, you have to explain to us how you wrote your coursework and how you use those sources, why you didn't paraphrase, and all of this. So because you are in the first year, and this is the purpose of those sessions, is to inform you about plagiarism, so you will know and be able to avoid it in your first coursework for this term and the next one. So if your first year, maybe sometimes you don't do a very serious plagiarism, or your percentage is not so high. So sometimes we will invite you for a meeting just to explain that you did this mistake. We can see a significant percentage, but maybe not as significant as you will need to punish. And then maybe just to warn you that next time you need to avoid this. Okay, so sometimes for the first year, we are trying to be nicer because it's your first year, you just enter university, the first time maybe you're writing an essay or a coursework. So you need to make sure that you understand. So, but you won't have an excuse in this year because you have these sessions, and we are here to teach you about these plagiarism, to show you what you need to avoid. And if you have any questions, that's why we were having this session. If you have any questions, ask us during this time so we can help you, okay? Or if you have any other questions, you can drop me an email if you don't understand something about plagiarism, if you are not sure, and drop us an email so we can help. So there are 3 categories of plagiarism. The first one is poor academic practice. This refers to year 1 only because it's for the students that they just enter university and they are not very familiar with this procedure and this and the rewriting essays. The second one is moderate plagiarism. And the third one is serious plagiarism. So for moderate plagiarism, we have some penalties. Usually we have mark reduction or resubmission of the assignment. So that's why what I suggest you to do is to avoid plagiarism because it's an extra work for you. If you need to resubmit an assignment, you need to rewrite your assignment. So it's like doing the work 2 times. But of course, if you invited to a plagiarism meeting, it means that you haven't done the first time correctly your work. So make sure you work, you put all the effort, you rewrite everything, you use your own ideas. Of course, you'll read articles and get someone else's ideas, but make sure you understand how to use them correctly. So you won't have any resubmissions or mark reductions because it's sad to have these reductions of your marks from your courses. So some serious penalties is a mark of 0 for the piece of coursework. This is a rare penalty. And a mark of 0 for the whole module. And the last penalty is exclusion from the university. But again, I repeat, these are a bit extreme cases and very rare. And hopefully we won't see any cases such this year. So after this, we conduct a meeting and then we decide the penalty. And you are going to be informed within 3 to 5 working days the penalty. So you will know that you have to resubmit, for example, the new deadline, or how many marks your work got declined. And then we keep a record for further references. And if there is a second consecutive offense from the same student, it means a more serious penalty. So if we see same names in the courseworks, we tend to increase the penalty if you repeat this. So for the first time, it's fine. Maybe it's the first time you don't know how to write essays, you don't understand. We'll explain a bit better. We refer you to some resources, okay? So you will inform better. But if you invited to a meeting, to a plagiarism meeting 2nd, 3rd time, and you keep repeating this mistake, then unfortunately we have to process with a bit stricter measure. Okay, so that's why you have to be careful and make sure if we invite you once for plagiarism meeting, take it seriously so you'll avoid in the future more serious penalties. So how to avoid plagiarism? So what do you need to do in order to avoid plagiarism and make sure that your work is written in a proper way? You need to ensure that you know what plagiarism is, you need to understand what is plagiarism. What do we mean by plagiarism? As we said earlier, is that when you use other authors' ideas and you don't rewrite the text, or you just copy paste and you don't rewrite sufficiently. Okay, so if you just take a paragraph and you change 3 words, this is not sufficient to show that that you paraphrase. Okay, you need to paraphrase as much as possible. Okay, even if it's not the easiest thing to paraphrase, if English is not your first language, but you need to try to paraphrase a high percentage of the sentences that you're using. Okay. So how to avoid plagiarism? First way is to use direct quotation. So in case you are using someone else's idea, let's say you found an author's idea that is very nice, you like very much that sentence and you don't want to change it. It's excellent sentence. One thing you can do is to use direct quotation. Okay, so if you're using someone else's idea and you copy paste and you use direct quotation and you reference correctly, then it's fine for us. If we see this in your work, we won't consider it as a plagiarism as long as you use direct quotations. Another way to avoid plagiarism is to paraphrase. So if you get let's say a paragraph that is very good and you want to use it in your coursework, in your essay, you just need to rewrite it in your own words. So try to avoid copy-paste. Just try to think what is the main idea of this sentence and just rewrite it in your own way. In this way, you will avoid plagiarism and you won't have high similarities. So that in that way, you just avoid plagiarism offense, okay? And of course, never cut paste the sources in your document. So this will lead you to do the mistake and just copy paste, use the similar words, and maybe you will forget to change them. And at the end of the day, we'll see that your work, it won't be yours. It's just you're like borrowing other people's ideas and you don't change the words and the expressions they are using. And you may not use any plagiarism detection tool. So we don't want you to use a detection tool because if you use, for example, Turnitin by yourself, then if I check it, your work, it will show me auto-plagiarism, like you copy from yourself. Okay, we explained this earlier, so avoid this. So there are some videos, as I said, on Canvas page that if you watch them or if you already watch them to get more information about this. And there are some useful links that you can use in your spare time and just go and find more information. So I'm going to go through the first link after the break. Now I'm going to go to the slides for the referencing I did for Canvas. So let's explain a bit more what do we mean by referencing, why it's important, and how do we reference correctly. So why do we need to referencing? The purpose is to distinguish your ideas from someone else, to show that this idea is not mine, I got it from this author, okay? So it's good to show from where you got the ideas, which was the author that wrote those things, and give credits to the authors. It's another thing why you are using references to validate your own argument. And also you can show to the readers where you found those ideas, the sources, your sources. And of course, the most important thing is because you want to avoid plagiarism for all the reasons we just mentioned. So when do we need to use referencing? We need to use referencing when we use other people's ideas, and especially when we just said, when we just take the ideas and we don't change them at all, we need to use quotation. Otherwise, it's better to paraphrase. So I don't want to just take a work and see hundreds of quotes. For example, if you use 10 times direct quotation, it might look a bit bad, because it shows that it's not your own work. You just found some sentences from other authors and you just copy paste. So this doesn't show any effort to me or to your module leader, and it will be bad for your marks, okay? And also it will be bad because we will call you for plagiarism. So make sure if you use direct quotation, you'll use them only a few times in your coursework, okay? The less, the better. So that's why we said it's better if you paraphrase. This is what we encourage you to do, to paraphrase, so you have your own work. Or summarize the work of others. For example, if you find a paper and you like the idea, what they did, you don't need to write everything they've done. You just need to summarize what they did in your own work, in your own words, okay? So when we need to reference, when we cite, okay, so what we need to do is to cite and reference all the sources. So if I use some ideas from the source, from one source, I need to reference that source. You need to make sure you don't forget to reference all the sources or the papers you're finding ideas from. And also this applies to also books, journals, website, etc. So if you are using an idea from a book, you need to reference the book. So there are two aspects to referencing. The first one is to cite, and the second one, the reference list, okay? The first one, we already said, we need to, is the purpose of the citation is to highlight that the work you've done and the ideas come from a different source, okay? And you need to show from which source. And the second thing where you are using referencing is the reference list. And if you read articles, you'll see that at the end of each article, we'll find a reference list. So this reference list lists all the materials, the sources we are using for a paper, books, journals, websites. So it will be easy for you to find them. And we'll see an example of a reference list in the next few slides. So for citations, when we say citing is when we refer to someone else's works or idea, again, it's the same thing, by including a citation which has the author's name and the year of publication. So we already said how to reference a citation. We explain everything. I hope you understand. If you have any question, let us know in the chat. The thing is that you need to cite, but also you need to cite correctly. So what is the correct way to cite a paper is to use the name, author's name first, followed by the year of publication of his paper or journal article and so on. And to show you some examples, if I use, for example, a sentence that I rewrite and paraphrase, okay, otherwise I need to use direct quotation. Here we don't have direct quotations. It means that we paraphrase this, but we want to show from where we got this idea. Okay, so we have these two authors, and then the name of the authors, and it's followed by the year of the publication of their paper. Okay, so this is the right way to reference. We want the author's name followed by the year. Or for example, here we have the author's name, the year, and then we have the page number. So sometimes we are using this as well, if you use specific pages. And again, there's a similar example as the first one, two authors' name, and then the year of the publication of the papers publication. Here we show the reference list. Sorry, we are going to refer about the reference list. So the reference list, as we said, it shows the references in alphabetical order by author surname. And also always the information that will be included is the author's name, the year of publication, the title of the work. And when you have to reference a book, you need to include also the edition of the book. For example, if it's the 4th edition, you need to include this in your reference list. So this is an example of a reference list. As you can see, we have alphabetical order for the surnames, for the author's surnames, which is followed by the year of the publication, and then we have the name, the title of the work, and then you can see the journal that is published, and then the page numbers. Okay, so this is the right way to reference, and especially when you do an essay or a coursework and you have at the end the reference list, you need to make sure you are referenced correctly. Something that I forgot to mention is that what we are using at the University of Birmingham, and especially in our department, is the Harvard referencing. So you need to make sure that always you are reference in this way, okay, using the Harvard referencing rules. And the rules of Harvard referencing is what I said, it's just surnames or names followed by the year and then by titles, words, and then page numbers. So we talk about quoting. Here is just an example to understand what do we mean by direct quotations. Here, as you can see, we have the author and then the year of the author's paper, the page number, and then we say what it indicates, and then we don't want to change, for example, this sentence. We just want to use it the same as it is, exactly from his work. So we just use direct quotations here. As you can see this symbol here. This shows immediately that I just copy-paste this sentence and I didn't rewrite it. And because I'm using the quotation and I also reference, I know from which author, I show the author and the year of the paper, then this is right referencing, correct, and it's fine as long as you reference it correctly, okay? So you see the difference that you can copy-paste, yes, but it's only a short sentence, and if you are using direct quotation, then this is fine. This is not called plagiarism, it's okay. It's correct. And the other thing we said, we already talked about it a lot, is paraphrasing. We said that we just rewrite the content in your own words. So try to avoid copy-paste, try to avoid using the other author's words, the exact sentence, just rewrite it, think about the meaning of the sentence and try to write it in your own way. Sometimes if there are some terminologies or definitions that is really hard for you to change them, then what I suggest you to do is to just sometimes some definition or supply and demand curve, these things that is fine to use them. We don't mind if you use 2-3 words, that they are terms that you cannot change, as long as you change the content inside the paragraph. So what it follows, they follow some just examples for reference rules. I think we already mentioned those, but just to conclude for those, you must always include direct quotation. Okay, we said when you are just using the exact same sentence from other authors' work. If you fail to do this, it's a serious academic offense because you are getting someone else's idea and you don't reference correctly and you just don't even change it. Always follow a quotation with the relevant citation. If you use quotation, we want to see the author as well. We want to see the source from where you got those sentences. So for example, here you can see that we have direct quotation for this phrase here. And in the bracket, followed by the author and the year, and then the page number. So this is, as I said, is the Harvard referencing order, the way that we want you to reference the papers. And then the last example, we have another example here, where we have the two authors' names and then followed by the year of their papers. And in this example, it shows the reader from where we got this idea. And of course, we rewrite it, we paraphrase. Otherwise, we'll use direct quotation. So whenever you won't see any indirect quotations in the examples, it means that this paragraph is rewritten. That's why we don't use a quotation. But again, we need to see the sources, the authors. And in this link, in this slide, at the last slide, I have a link. I include a link where you can go and see more information, some more examples, more details regarding Harvard referencing. That is a web page from University of Birmingham. So this is all what I wanted to say about the referencing and plagiarism before the break. I haven't seen the chat though, so I'm not sure if there are any questions there.
It's all right. We're on top of the questions, Maria. Don't worry.
Okay, thanks. So I think what we'll do is to have a break for 10 minutes and then we'll be back. And in the meantime, in the break, you can watch the videos that we have on the page that they talk about plagiarism and they are really informative. Okay, so we'll see you in 10 minutes. So we are back from the break. Before I continue, I think I wanted to take a few minutes.
Yes. Thank you, Maria. I just would like to address the questions in terms of referencing and to show the web page I mentioned and how to find the answers you might need. And if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen. That is a web page I put in the chat. And also Maria has already covered most of the content in her presentation in the first half of the lecture. So basically that's the link. That's the link I put on the chat channel, and you can also find this in the slides on Canvas. So basically here, if you scroll down the web page, then you see Harvard A to Z. That means all the scenario, how to referencing all different scenario. For example, we had a question about your own work, how to cite your own work. So you can go to this one, that's O to T, for example, and you scroll down, and which is actually characterized as tutor's student own work. So if you would like to reference your own work, that's how you do it. Okay, and this student number is Jap. Here, for example, if I want to reference my own work, I would say Yao 2000, I don't know, 2015, 5 years ago, and the topic of this essay. And also in the reference list, you have to put the details as well. The title of your own essay or the other student essay, and then saying this is university, then the copyright actually belongs to University of Birmingham, and this is unpublished essay. So that's how you cite student own work. Okay, and if we go back to for other situation, I have seen the discussion regarding web page. So we can go to the W and see their web page. There are different situations in terms of citing web page. It could be web page with individual author. So that's how you cite it. I copy this example in the chat, but here that's where you find it. So that's quite straightforward. It's just similar as you cite any article or any book. The difference is you need to put the links there, and that's the only difference. And if you have the organization as an author, so which you don't have a real person, but you have organization or institution, that's how you do it. You use BBC News, for example, that's the organization there, and instead of people's name. So that's the only difference, really. If you have the web page, if you want to sign the web page, no author, no title, that's how you do it. So you put the link there in the text and saying this is where the information comes from. I don't have an author, I don't have a title, but you can find this content via this link. So that's how you do it. Again, all the situation you have to specify the web page, the link in the reference list. And also there's other scenario where the web page has no date. So very much similar, but you just need to put no date in the bracket instead of the actual year because you don't have it. So that's quite normal. Yeah, and basically I think that here covered almost all scenario. If you look through the web page, it lists all different cases, and I think those are mentioned in the chat. And the other things that may occur to you, for example, I think that would be apart from journal and the books. And the other things that may occur is the database. Let me find it. So that's the database. So that's D, sorry. That's D, that's in the D column. Database, I remember I've seen it. Let me find it. Database. Okay, so that's financial database. What are the other? Okay, so you got a few different cases in terms of a database. That's the financial report for online database. So here is how to cite the report of a database. And another case in terms of a database is also market research report from online database. Let me search if there is any case to okay, that's the data sets I referring to. If you go into cite a data in not the report, so we have seen how to cite the reports. So here is how to cite the data themselves. And that's how you do in terms of data. You give it a name, the data, and then the name, either the author or the organization, whatever. And in the reference list, you have to list the organization where the data is from, either a person or organization, and the data's name, and then where it's available. Where did you find the data? So that could be, that's another thing that often happens, then you may find it useful. So that's all I wanted to say. And just based on the discussion regarding the referencing in the first half. So I hope that's useful. Thank you very much, Maria.
Thank you very much, Yao, for this. Yeah, very useful. And then you can all go back there when you want to reference, when you do your work, and you find the right way and find all of the various examples that Yao showed you. So let's move. Let's make. We're going to make a 2-question polls. So we'll see if you understand the content of what we just what we explained in this session. So for the first question, you need to answer the possible plagiarism outcomes. You can select more than one answer. So which of those do you think is called plagiarism? So I'm waiting to see more responses. Sorry, plagiarism outcomes, not which is the plagiarism. It's just started the second question instead of the first. Sorry for this. So which are the possible plagiarism outcomes? And drop out, it means you are excluded from the university. So I'm still waiting. We almost got so if you please reply, all of you, you will see the answer in a minute. Okay, I don't see more participants. We got 73% rewrite and resubmit, one possible plagiarism outcome, 79% mark reduction, 89% zero for the module, and 76% dropout from the university. The answer, the submit button is not functioning. I can't submit my answer. I don't know why. So it should be work for everyone, I assume. So the answer is that all 4 of them are possible plagiarism outcomes. So we discussed 4 of them already, okay? And you need to be aware of those. And then let me do the second question for polling. And the next question, the next polling is types of plagiarism. You can select more than one answer. So which one or more of those are types of plagiarism? So I'm still waiting to see more people vote in the poll. Okay, so I've got many answers. All of the answers are correct. All of those represent types of plagiarism: copying from website, copy from other student submissions, and copy from my own submission last year. As we said, this is called auto-plagiarism or self-plagiarism. Okay, so all of those are different types of plagiarism. So I hope you understand the different types of plagiarism and what things you can do to avoid them. So what I'm going to talk next in the 15 minutes left, I'm going to show you the website that the university has for plagiarism course. So let me share my screen. Can you see my screen? Thanks. So this is one of the 2 Canvas courses that is provided by university. So and this is the academic integrity course. Okay, so this is the first page you'll see when you open this course. And here we have academic integrity. Welcome to academic integrity. So it explains this course that it will provide you more details what we mean by academic integrity and how you'll be sure that you will avoid plagiarism and that you will be able to develop the skills that you need. For example, skills is if you know well the English language, this is a skill because you can rewrite and paraphrase easily, or easier at least than other students that they are that their language is not their first language is not English, sorry. So, so it's important if you develop English language, if you practice more, then it will be easier for you to rewrite things, paraphrase things in English. That's such that you'll avoid plagiarism and the academic offense. So if we enter the module, this is sections we'll see. And here it explains what is academic integrity. So academic integrity is a more general title, if you want, for is more general form for the plagiarism and other academic offenses. So there are many ways of defining academic integrity, and this term defines by 5 fundamental values. So we have honesty, trust, fairness, respect, and responsibility. So these 5 values represent the definition of academic integrity. So honesty, you need to be honest that you give credits to the authors that you're using the sources. You need to have trust for we have trust for the outcomes of the research, the results, that they are accurate. We need to be fair. We need to acknowledge other people's work and be honest in assessment. We need to respect other members and our classmate colleagues, and to be responsible. Okay, so these are the values for academic integrity. So it's important to acknowledge these values and understand better what is academic integrity. So there is a video, I'm not going to play it now, but when you have more time, in your spare time, you can watch this video, watch the videos that we have in week 3 as well for plagiarism and referencing, and make sure you understand very well how to avoid plagiarism and what do we mean by academic integrity. So if we go to the module, you have further resources here for academic integrity. So if you want to learn more, there are so many, there are other things, PDFs that you can download and have a look. There is a guide about these good academic practices. So in your spare time, your free time, you can go and have a look at this and explore a bit more. And then here, there are definitions and they explain better in more details what is plagiarism. So if you want more videos about plagiarism, you can go to this web page and watch more videos about this. And here again, they explain in other words, but it's what we already said in our live session about plagiarism. So we said that plagiarism is just using other people's work and we don't rewrite them, we are just copy paste. Okay, so with a similar sense here, it says that plagiarism is the act of a registered student claiming as his or her own work, intentionally or by omission, work was done by that student. So this is what, even if it's intentional or unintentional, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you will bring your work. And even if you didn't have intention, or of course, most of the students don't have an intention to copy paste or to use other authors or other people's work. It just accidentally happened that you copy paste, you forget, or you don't paraphrase enough, or you don't spend the time to write in your own words. So most of the cases it's unintentional that this happens. And then you claim the other people's work as your own. So this is the result of this copy paste and you don't paraphrase. So it says that, in other words, plagiarism happens when a student submits an assignment, for example, and she claims that it's entirely her own work, this assignment. So that's why this is, we call it the academic offense, serious academic offense. And obviously, in fact, in part of her whole work, or part or the whole work is not, is somebody else, okay? So this is, again, what we call plagiarism. I think you're already aware. I hope you already understand what do we mean by plagiarism. We gave you many examples. You have many videos to watch and understand the plagiarism and how to avoid it. And there are here the different categories of types of plagiarism. There is the auto-plagiarism. This is what we said we call self-plagiarism, where a student submits a work that did in the past. So we said that you're not allowed to submit your own work if you already submitted it for a different module, okay? Because of course it's your own work, but it's like you're copying from yourself, and it's called plagiarism. Another form of plagiarism is collusion. This is you are getting the work from other students, or you are collaborate together, you are working together to do your assignment, for example, and then you submit a similar assignment, and maybe you are a group of 3-4 students. Then we can see that internally in the report that you have similarities, and then we will call you for a meeting. So this is, again, plagiarism, okay? Even if you work together, you're not allowed to have similar you are not allowed to write the exact same sentence as your classmates. Okay, you are allowed to have similar ideas, you are allowed to discuss things, but please write your own work. Do not share things, because then you are all going to call for plagiarism. Even if the person that do the work and give the assignment in the second person, both people, they're going to be called, both students are going to be called for plagiarism. Another type of plagiarism is copying. This is the most common thing we see when you copy paste from a book article or a paper, and you don't reference correctly, you don't paraphrase, and you don't acknowledge the author's work. Another source is fabrication and falsification. So this is when the university treats these offenses, the work you submitted is expected to be honest and trustworthy, okay? And some examples here is when you inventing a code or a source, inventing the results of laboratory or field work, or what we just said, to buy an essay, for example, in simple words. An acceptable paraphrasing, if you submit a work where 3/3 of the page, let's say 3/4 of a page is copy paste and you just paraphrase a quarter of the page, then this is not your own work. You just copy paste. So this is an acceptable paraphrasing. We want to see that most of the sentences that you are writing there is your own work, and you paraphrase the majority, okay, of the sentences. And the last one is examination misconduct, when using material which is not permitted in the examination rule. Communicate in the exams. If in the exam you're saying each other the question, the answers, and so on. So this is what I wanted to mention from this page. There are many videos you can watch. There are more things to explore if you go to modules. There are some other section how plagiarism is detected. We already said about the Turnitin report. That is a software. Okay, I'm not going to go through this through main details anyway. We don't have the time. Okay, just say about the Turnitin report. We already mentioned that one. And here there is citation and referencing. So you can find more information about referencing if you want. And maybe you can find more examples. Okay, accurate citation and referencing. So, and here we have the referencing style. And as I said, we are using Harvard style. You don't need to know any other, this is just for your own knowledge. We just use the Harvard citation, and this is what you need to understand very well, okay? So I'm not gonna go through more details about this module page. It's just to make sure you understand that there are many sources. There are plenty of things to, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. There are plenty of resources that you can go to and find more information, watch more videos, understand plagiarism, understand how to avoid plagiarism, read more examples regarding referencing, okay? And I'm sure you'll be fine. This is your first year, so hopefully we won't see any plagiarism cases this year after this session, okay? And that if you have any questions, please let us know. You can drop me an email and we can discuss if you need any things, if you have any more questions or if you need any further things, okay? You can email me anytime. So I think I finished what I wanted to say. I don't know if Camila and Yao want to add something.
Yeah, maybe you wouldn't mind adding your emails to the chat box. So in case students want to email you with some questions privately. And if that's all right with you, I will post your emails also to the discussion board, to the summary. So if students want to reach out to you, they have your emails handy. Okay, so I have Maria's email, so feel free to reach out, and absolutely, and Ya's email, excellent. So we're almost at the end of the session, or we're at the end of the materials of the session. I think we have answered all of the questions that were